During our Farm Basics time each week, we will talk about something that is common to those of us who farm and maybe a little bit less common to you if you don't farm. Today, our focus is annual versus biennial versus a perennial plant, or for Darren and me, we'd just as soon talk about weeds. So annual, biennial, and perennial weeds.
Well, we get interesting questions all throughout the year, and even about our crops, Brian. Why are you talking about corn planting all the time? Do you have to plant every year? Yeah, you do. And the reason why is corn is an annual plant. Now with a crop like alfalfa, for example, that's a perennial plant. So that means it's going to live for multiple years. So you can plant it once, and oftentimes farmers will hope to get 3 or 4 or 5 years worth of crop out of it before that alfalfa stand starts to thin out a little bit and they want to do something else.
Then you get to biennial. So this is a 2-year plant. It seems kind of weird that a plant would not be an annual, yet it would not be a perennial. It lives for 2 years, even over the course of a horrible winter, which we usually have in our geography, where the ground is frozen for 6 months out of the year. These plants somehow still survive, but they only survive just that one winter. So anyway, biennial plants, just a couple examples here, musk thistle or bull thistle, or I'd also throw out biennial wormwood sage that's become a big problem for us on our farm in some of our no-till and strip-till environments.
Well, it certainly changes the strategy that you may have if you want to get something under control. So if you look at an annual weed, well, hey, I just can't let this thing go to seed. If I stop it from going to seed, no problem. It's probably not coming back next year. But if you've got a biennial, well, you may not even notice it out there. It may be like Brandon was talking about musk thistle, in a rosette, really close to the ground, out in a pasture, and the grass is a foot tall, and you don't notice, there's a little spot out there where the grass isn't growing as well. Well, there's a rosette of a musk thistle. You've got to get that thing under control now, because in year 2, it's going to bolt and try and produce seed. So the big thing with these weeds is you have to stop them from getting to seed, and then you can keep them from becoming a long-term problem.
And then when we talk about perennial weeds, they can also spread by rhizomes below the soil surface. So that can be a real problem, because you might go out there and say, well, I don't want to use any herbicides, I'm just going to use tillage. Well, you know what? Your perennial weed loves that. They are thankful that you're doing tillage, because now you've spread that weed out over even more area, and all those little shoots that are below ground, they will produce new plants, and they might split off entirely from that original plant that got started.
Well, a great example of that would be quackgrass in lawns. It's a perennial weed, and you say, well, I got a weed out there, I'm just going to keep mowing it each week and try to stop it from going to seed. Nope, it puts out rhizomes, and the patch just grows and grows and grows. And if you try and do tillage, as Brian said, it grows and grows and grows. So yeah, it's really tough to control without using a herbicide.
Well, once again, an annual weed just lives for 1 year, a perennial for many years, and a biennial for 2 years. So what is our weed of the week this week, an annual, biennial, or perennial? Well, we'll tell you later in the show.